I know this is the first time we've seen the Knicks this season, but having faced them 5 times last year, mostly similar roster, obviously new coaching staff and all the things. What have you observed about the way they've started this season and maybe how they're different from last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think Robinson is a factor that is when we played last year, he wasn't playing as many minutes. They're bigger. Anytime a player's on track to see a single season rebounding record on the offensive glass, that's significant. I think they're a well-oiled machine as far as how their players interact and kind of know each other and know each other's roles and play off each other. And if you were growing up and you were trying to find a player to play like, Brunson would be the guy because of the whole package, his leadership, his ability to score, his selflessness, his toughness. I think he's their heartbeat, and that's the same. Just have a lot of respect for how he leads their team. So it's obviously, Bridges and Obi, all those guys are excellent players, but he's the one that makes them go.
So when you just actually brought up the offensive rebounding, Mitchell Robinson, so the Knicks are 4th in offensive rebounding. How does that play into factoring, deciding between really attacking the defensive glass versus trying to send some guys back to find easy buckets in transition off those misses?
Well, we're not the biggest team, so we're going to need everybody to rebound. I think you don't get a chance to get easy baskets if you don't get the ball. So that's got to be the priority and we need everybody to do it. So there's obviously, if you're contesting a shot, at the high quadrant, it's going to be hard for you to get back in the play in the defensive glass. But we're going to need, if you just look at the height of their team versus ours, we're giving up some height at almost every position. So that means we have to be committed collectively. If we tip the ball and tip it again and it bounces and we get it, I think that's a good rebound. We don't have to be hung up on how we get it. We're not going to step in and go snatch one with Towns and Robinson and Bridges and Anobi. That's hard for us to do. We got to put a body on them and make it hard for them to get them and let it bounce on the ground and then grab it.
When you get to the point where you have to make adjustments from different games, how do you balance being firm on the things that need to be adjusted, but still try to remain positive and encouraging on the things you want to do?
Well, I think the key word is adjust. When you don't adjust off something that you were talking about doing and not doing it. You just have to do it. You can adjust off a situation that you're executing well, but it's not effective. Some of the things that we need to do are not adjustments, other than the fact that the adjustment would go from not doing it to doing it. So that's the adjustment that has to take place in a number of situations, and I think our guys are aware of that. We just don't have a real small margin for error, for some of the things that we're discussing with, physicality. So we just have to be, we're not going to be perfect, but if there's a lapse where you're not, getting back as urgently, as quickly, if we don't communicate, even if that means pointing to stop the ball, if we miss a block out for a guy coming on the perimeter, if the biggest thing for us maybe right now offensively is just spacing. You can run all you want, but if two guys are running next to each other, you're not accomplishing anything. So yes, we need to adjust our spacing, but we have spaced the way that we need to, I think, during this year, and some of that is just being more focused and more committed to doing those things possession by possession.
Coach, what's one of the biggest point of focuses tonight in pick and roll defense?
Well, Brunson's, a focal point, regardless. He's their primary handler in pick and roll. You have two very different screeners in Robinson and Towns. Towns has a pick and pop threat, and when you're 7 feet tall and you're popping, you're usually open. So that impacts some things you do from a coverage standpoint, whether you have to switch or late switch. If you switch, he's going to take you down because he's got a post game, and then you're going to probably have to, give him some help on the post. If he's 7 feet and you've got a 6'6" guy on him that was guarding Brunson, and then you have Robinson, who's a rim roller. So your weak side has to be pulled in, and probably have to be pulled in early, or he's going to get a dunk. But if you want to back up, stay below him, now you're going to have to deal with Brunson. So if you got any answers, let me know. There's a lot going on. It goes back to the execution. I think we're a team that, from a pick and roll defense standpoint, needs to be able to show different looks. There's any one thing with our group, team, really good players that have versatility. Like I mentioned, Towns with his ability to roll or pop. Brunson can shoot it off the dribble from three, or get into the paint, attack the rim that way. So, the pick your poison is probably a pretty good way to describe it, but I think it gets back to your urgency and execution. You have to be in the right place at the right time. 5 guys have to be focused. We're not going to guard pick and roll 2-on-2. We can't do that.
When only Jokic and Gobert played more center minutes this season than Yeko.
Yeah.
I asked you about his workload, how he's handling it, and what you're seeing as he answers the call every night.
Yeah, that I know Yeka's playing a lot. That still surprises me. I think one of the things that he's been able to do for us is we play through it, and Denver does that obviously with Jokic. Not so much with Rudy. We're asking Onyeka to do a lot. Talking about pick and roll defense, he's involved in that a lot, and we're asking him to run, and get to the corners and get to the line in space and shoot threes, and then we're playing through them. So I think you're seeing a young player continue to grow, and that's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. He's continued, I think, to embrace that, and it's been really good to see.